Es muy pronto por la mañana otra vez, pero nos vamos a ir al gimnasio. Hay algo que hace que cuando tu cuerpo se siente bien, tu cabeza se sienta el triple de mejor. Y la verdad es que a veces es una reventada despertarse a las 5 de la mañana para hacer deporte, porque después tienes cosas que hacer, pero, como decía Nike, just do it. O sea, una vez que estás haciéndolo ya no puedes deshacerlo. Solo hay que salir de casa. Vaya, que esto solo nos puede hacer más fuertes. Y aunque cuesta, normalmente solo hay una cosa que se interpone en nuestro camino a la hora de hacer el esfuerzo de hacer ejercicio, y es una vocecilla en nuestra cabeza que nos dice que estamos mejor donde estamos en el momento que estamos y que para qué movernos. Su nombre es Pereza McCormick y es muy fácil vencerla, de verdad. Es muy satisfactorio. Mira, no hay nadie. ¡Qué gozada! Creo que hay pocas cosas que os pueda recomendar tanto como el tema de empezar a hacer ejercicio. Yo era la típica persona que no podía correr más de 3 minutos seguidos, porque en ese momento mi cabeza ya me decía, para que no puedes llegar más, o sea, que ya 3 minutos es muchísimo. Ahora corro entre 30 minutos y 1 hora diarios. Es una cuestión de ir tirando barreras. Os juro que vais a hacer rutina, os lo recomiendo muchísimo. Ya estoy de vuelta en el estudio. Ya os decía que esta es la mejor manera de empezar el día, aunque no lo parezca, y muchas personas piensan que si voy al gimnasio, ahora que ya estoy cansado voy a estar aún más cansado. No. Hacer ejercicio por la mañana te da energía, os lo juro, tienes mucha más energía después. El caso, yendo al tema, es que hoy va a ser un día muy especial. Estos días hemos estado hablando en los últimos vídeos de cambios, de a dónde se dirige el canal, de dónde viene, ¿no? Del inicio, de cómo empecé a hacer vídeos. Y hay una pregunta que siempre me hacen, que suelen hacerme muchísimo. Esa pregunta es: ¿quiénes han sido tus influencias? Y a la gente creo que le interesa mucho siempre, porque es una forma de ver por qué hace las cosas de una manera una persona o de otra, ¿no? Depende de cuáles han sido las cosas que le han influenciado. Las personas que han sido importantes profesionalmente para esa persona quizá definen un poco la forma en la que hace las cosas. Y a pesar de que hay muchas, o sea, no se puede decir solo una, hay mucha gente que influye en nuestro trabajo, o que cosas que vemos, experiencias que tenemos, son muchísimas las cosas y factores que afectan a eso. Sí que para mí hay una persona especialmente que sé que fue la primera en cuestión de lo que hago, ¿no? De mi trabajo. Esa persona es Jenna. Es una de las youtubers que más me han impactado de siempre, porque recuerdo que cuando estaba en mi antiguo trabajo en una productora, yo era productor y editor, hacíamos programas de televisión. Y hubo un punto en el cual empecé a consumir YouTube. Encontré a Jenna como la primera youtuber a la que empecé a seguir, ¿no? De forma constante. Fue quizá la primera que me hizo ver que podías generar contenido en YouTube, que podías producir cosas y que la gente semana tras semana iba a venir a verlas. Pero no solo eso. Desde el punto de vista profesional, para mí Jenna fue la muestra de que con una cámara en tu casa eres capaz de aglutinar una audiencia mucho más grande que un programa de televisión. Eso fue algo que me impactó muchísimo. Esto era una persona que desde su casa hablaba a una cámara e interesaba a millones de personas. O sea, creo que cambió mi forma de ver las cosas absolutamente, y creo que fue la primera persona que hizo que pensase en esto de una manera muy distinta, ¿no? De verdad tengo que encontrar una voz y un formato, y quiero hacer esto semana tras semana. No quiero hacer un vídeo aquí o un vídeo allá, quiero dedicarme a esto de forma prolongada en el tiempo, ¿no? Por eso decía que tuvo un impacto muy grande en la forma en la que yo consideraba YouTube. Después abrió la puerta para que conociese a muchos otros youtubers o descubriese muchos otros canales, ¿no? Pero ella fue la primera que de verdad activó algo en mi cabeza. Creo que con muchos youtubers sería muy interesante el poder sentarse a charlar, ¿no? El hablar sobre lo que hacen y todo esto, pero con Jenna especialmente, por lo que os decía, es alguien que tuvo tanta influencia en mi canal al principio que estoy realmente interesado por ver cómo ha sido su experiencia a raíz de ahí, ¿no? O sea, el ver detrás de cámaras en realidad cómo ha sido todo para ella, qué piensa de algunas cosas, ver qué puntos tenemos en común y todo esto. Marvel, how is it going?
He's so tiny. He's like looking like, Mom.
Por cierto, se me ha olvidado deciros que la conversación va a ser en inglés, pero tenéis subtítulos en español disponibles. Pincháis al botoncito que hay abajo justo al lado de la rueda de la calidad y los activáis. Just so you know, I came just to visit your dogs.
I know.
They're the true,
I know.
like superstars.
It's, I've had to sit with this, but like I realized that people don't actually like me. They just like her. It's okay. I'm okay with it. Make peace.
The first thing that I wanted to talk to you about is there was a video that I watched. I think it was like spring 2011. And at that time I was working on something else in production and stuff like that, and it was a video that a girl made about like a face that she would put to like avoid guys in parties and stuff like that. And that was your first video that I ever watched, and I think apart from the fact that it was a very funny video and stuff like that, it was the first video that taught me that YouTube could become something more than just a video. Like I saw in your channel the possibility of doing content like through time that people would come back to. So it was really cool because it gave me that perspective for the first time. Until then, I think for me YouTube was just a site that you could go and find funny videos and something that you could share with someone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, how was that beginning for you? I don't know, in 2010 you started or something like that?
Yeah, 2009 I think is when I made my Jenna Marbles channel and was like posting videos. It's funny that you say that because I know exactly what that feeling is because I just seen was that person for me.
Yeah.
And I remember my old roommate came home one day and I was just sitting in like the dark kitchen and I had been watching I Just Seen videos for hours, like before I had ever really posted.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm watching I Just Seen videos." And he was like, "Why?" And I was like, "I wanted to see how she got from, posting a weird video to like posting all the time and having like regular content." So it's not, when you say like when something like a video like that hits you and it inspires you to post like that you can have a career or like a long time on the platform. I had that same experience with I Just Seen.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you later if you had any influences on you, but I didn't think that you would because you were such a like early YouTuber, or at least in my perception, because I remember the time where in the moment that I discovered you, I used to watch a lot of Kasim G and people that were, at that time, like doing a lot of content. But I didn't think that there was that much of a YouTube before,
Yeah.
Like it was more like people doing random things rather than, like the channels that we are used to right now where there's so much content every week.
Well, I've heard people say that and like I know what that means because I've had that experience, but it's not something that I think about because like my day-to-day life is like I'm going to Party City to buy 72 helium balloons to make my dog float in the air. Like you don't really like think about the meta aspect of it, I guess. Like it's just what I'm doing that day. So try not to think about it.
As you make videos for a long time, you start carrying this projection of what the audience's perception of yourself, the other peers' perception of yourself, and your own perception of yourself, and it gets a little bit messy. At least I've experienced that in the past year and a half or something like that, where I had to really stop considering like what people think while watching my videos, what other YouTubers, and isolate myself a little bit in the creative process, because when you say creative process, it sounds like we're in these rooms just like dropping ideas and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is like there is a difference when we come up with videos at the beginning, when we just us with 30 subscribers in the channel, and now that the count is a lot bigger.
Right.
So is that something that influences you at all, or that you think about when you're coming up with ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've gone through a similar experience in that you start to become aware and almost self-conscious, I guess, that people are watching, and I hit a point when I was posting videos where I would meet people in person and they go, "What's up, bitch?" Like, "Oh my God, you're my fucking bitch." And I'm like, that's not really me. Like, but I guess that is what I'm portraying to the internet because you're seeing like 3-minute clips of me like yelling and ranting. So I understand why that might be someone's perception of me, but maybe that is my responsibility to make sure that I'm portraying maybe all aspects of myself. And maybe it's not all the most entertaining thing in the world, but at least it's real. And so I had to take a step back at one point and be like, I need to make sure what I'm putting on the internet is a better representation of myself, because clearly I've missed the mark here somehow. As Philip DeFranco said it really well, I think, you're seeing a self-portrait of the artist and not the artist.
Yeah.
Like, you're putting on the internet what you think is the best representation maybe of yourself, but that's not really a true outsider's perspective, because you're the one curating it and creating it. So
what is it that you enjoy the most from making videos, even if it's not the obvious choice for someone that would watch your channel?
Honestly, I like making myself laugh the most. Like, I used to sort of make videos hoping that it would make other people laugh, and now I'm like completely selfish, and I'm like, I want to just sit here and laugh and have a really good time. But I mean, I have had that, like, you know, crazy growth, and then it plateaus, and like, I'm cool with whatever happens with my channel, because although I identify as a YouTuber, it doesn't define me as a person. So I want to just do what I want to do, and I want to make what I want to make. And we were talking earlier, like, about the balloons. Like, it was a suggestion from someone, and I was like, you know what? That's funny, and it's gonna make me laugh, and that's what I want to watch on the internet.
Yeah.
So why not make that? You know, I wanna make the videos now, I guess, that I would want to sit down and watch. That would just make me laugh.
I think there's something about our job, that the fact that there's no like other generation, you know what I mean? Like, we can't learn. We can't learn from people that did it 50 years ago, because that doesn't exist. Like, we're just like learning year by year. And that's another thing that I wanted to ask you is, every year feels different in YouTube. Like, it feels like the challenges are different, and everything changes so much. Not even talking about algorithms and stuff like that, which is enough.
Yeah.
But like the way that people make videos and the way that people consume videos and what trends, what not, like, do you have any memory of a year specifically, or a trend, a moment on YouTube that you liked the most?
Honestly, I miss being able to, like, within YouTube, there was like comedy, and then you could just go in there and just have a list of videos that were posted within the last month that just make you laugh. It doesn't really feel that way anymore. And whether it was like the trending page, the popular page, or whatever, but you could sort that popular page. Because I honestly couldn't tell you how the trending tab works right now. Like, it's,
I don't know.
No idea. But I want to be able to find new channels the way that I used to easily. Like, I felt like it was sort of a golden age of, like, pushing smaller channels, because anybody could, you know, get picked up by a blog or something and have 50,000 views, and you could find them easily. Whereas now you do have to, like, do some digging, because YouTube doesn't necessarily, like, promote them. But I just remember, like, every week on YouTube, and I watch more YouTube now than I did, but, like, you could just find these new channels and, like, laugh hysterically, because that's all that I want to do. But it feels a little bit like there's almost, like, when we started, there's no barrier to entry, and now it feels like there almost is a barrier to entry.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You have to. I always refer to it as a thick layer of ice that you have to break through to get out of, like, the deep sea, you know?
Yes.
Or
Like, it's a democratized platform, anyone can do it, but, like, people won't take you seriously until you hit certain numbers or milestones. And it's sort of disheartening, discouraging that, you know, the coolest part about the platform is still, like, it's becoming a problem now. Like, you can't just, like, get on there and just start posting videos. It is a little bit harder than that.
And again, I'm basing a lot of the things that I ask you in my own experience, just because I want to see if some of my experiences are shared. Because I've always felt like a lot of, like, most YouTubers, we have a lot of things in common. Even if we're different people, when it comes to YouTube, we have a lot of things in common.
We really do.
So I wanted to ask you, have you ever had a rough patch, and not in terms of views or subscribers? I'm saying, like, in how you feel about YouTube, about your work, because we don't get vacation. Right. This is not a job that you can stop if you feel like not being public for a month, right? Like, this is something that people will never understand, that we have to keep carrying no matter what, because it's just how it works. Right. So have you ever had one of those moments where it was, like, tough for any reason and you just had to keep making videos?
I mean, I've had that happen multiple times. I don't think that I know a YouTuber that hasn't. And some of it will be, like, for personal reasons, like you go through a breakup or a family member passes away, it's really difficult to turn on your camera and be like, all right, so here's some irrelevant shit that I'm just going to get into right now because your life is happening, you know? So that has definitely happened to me. And, you know, I've hit places of burnout, and I was warned by like Shane Dawson or people that I turn to, and Ryan Egan, like, how do you keep doing this without like constantly hitting this burnout phase? Because it's very real and it does happen, and it has happened to me multiple times.
Yeah.
And I find myself sort of withdrawing almost, like I'll share less, I'll post less pictures, and you know, because I just can't like get into it right now because you never shut off. So like any time where you can like just go sit in a chair and like chill and be wrapped in a blanket and not really have anybody know what you're doing, it's like that feels like really comforting.
I think I could put up a good argument about us having the best job in the world. No kidding.
No, I'm with you on that. I can make a pretty strong argument.
Right? Probably like most YouTubers would say like, yeah, I wish I could do this forever. Like I wish I can just make videos and talk about things all my life, and that'd be a professional path that we don't know if it's gonna unfold yet because it's still young relatively. But do you see your future within the YouTube sphere, or what do you feel like you want to do?
A couple years ago, or maybe 5 or however many, when people were like, YouTube, internet sensations, are they talented people or are they just laughing stocks? There was a lot of people within the online community across, you know, not just YouTube, like Twitter, Vine at the time, whatever, who were seeking this external approval from traditional entertainment. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people thought maybe that was the path that they wanted to take, that if they could break into acting, if they could break into acting or comedy, and then, you know, the world would take them seriously and people would take YouTubers seriously. I don't think there's been any harm in doing that. That's just not my path. Yeah. I've always said that I want to live on the internet forever. Like, I'm not trying to climb a ladder to another platform. I'm really not trying to act or do comedy or do anything. I want to be a living, breathing person on the internet, whatever that means, because I don't know what that means. Yeah. Nobody really knows. But something that's given me like encouragement doing that is that, yes, I do feel all that pressure with my main channel of like what people are expecting of you, what constitutes a video, what you should be making, what you shouldn't be making, but being able to find other paths within the platform or within the internet, like the podcast or just playing video games or whatever it is that you want to do, it's encouraging for me to feel like, all right, I started when I was 22, 23. Now I'm 30 years old and I'm still finding places on the internet that are making me feel like I'm making what I want, I'm saying what I want. It's like an expression of self, and I don't feel like I'm totally dead inside yet, you know? So I think that I think for my future, I want to stay on the internet, I want to live on the internet, and I want to keep changing and growing what I make in order to make myself happy doing it. Because if I'm totally miserable, I think I would just disappear, go find a wood cabin somewhere and just live there.
I remember when I was starting my channel and I was sitting at home, I would work and come home and sit down and try to come up with videos, write them, shoot them, edit them, put them up. And I remember what I felt like it would be to actually grow that channel and make it and be able to do that full time, right? Like I was thinking, the moment that I could do this as my job, like it's impossible that I'm not happy at that point, you know? Like it's impossible that something could be difficult or whatever because I'm already like doing everything that I want. If you could give an advice, just like something to yourself when you were doing like making videos back in 2010, is there anything that you wish you had learned before or something that you would love to be told by yourself?
I guess I've said this to other people, but I wish that someone had told me as like vehemently as I tell other people that ask me, is that you know best. You really know best, because I had a lot of people that come in and they're like, digital media, social media, blah, blah, and they tell you what to do and what's best for you. And when it all boils down, you are the expert. Like, you know the space more than anyone else does. And to trust that, because I had a hard time questioning and listening to other people and really thinking like maybe I do need some help or some guidance, and no, the answer's always been no, you know best. So I wish someone had told me that.
I think for me, it would be stop caring about what other people are doing.
Yeah.
I think that is, that the thing I'm learning in the last, like years is to concentrate on my work and forget about what the hell the rest are doing.
Right.
Because it's a little bit of a mixture of like good and bad. The fact that we belong to a community, there are great things about that, and there are also things that I feel like they were like drawn in me. Like I can't keep seeing everything that everyone uploads and everything that everyone does and consider those things, because then it blurs my side of what I'm doing.
Right.
And I would tell myself, like I would slap myself 4 years ago and tell me like, dude, just be like a horse with those things. You just concentrate on what you're doing and forget.
Well, I imagine it's like, well, when I was in school, I can't like study or work or write if there's any sound. I imagine it's like trying to write a song while all you're doing is listening to other music, like, or reading a book or trying to write a book while you're reading a book at the same time. It's impossible. Yeah. Like when you're making YouTube videos and all you're doing is paying attention to everything else, like it's going to come out like that, or it's going to be a reflection of how those things made you feel.
Yeah.
So I do the same thing, and I try really hard to like watch it a little bit, watch what's going on, and then just find a way to shut off and make what's coming out of your brain,
Y bueno, ese ha sido el encuentro con Jenna, que la verdad es que me ha encantado. He disfrutado muchísimo de poder hablar con ella, por lo que os decía, ¿no? Creo que la persona que de manera indirecta más ha influido en la manera en que yo hacía las cosas cuando empecé en YouTube, ¿no? La forma que tenía mi canal o la manera que tenía de hacer vídeos, el formato que tenía, estaba muy influido por la forma en la que Jenna hacía las cosas. Me ha gustado muchísimo, y una vez más, igual que os decía la otra vez, me ha encantado descubrir cómo incluso con personas que aparentemente no son iguales a ti, tienes muchas cosas en común por el hecho de compartir la experiencia de ser youtuber, ¿no? El hecho de hacer algo que nos apasiona es algo que hace que tengamos puntos en común en muchas de las cosas que nos preocupan, en muchas de las cosas que nos emocionan sobre lo que hacemos y todo esto. Así que espero que os haya gustado. A pesar de que no quiero hypear a nadie, sí que os puedo decir que es posible y solo posible que la próxima parada sea en Montana, para visitar a otra persona que creo que es muy importante dentro de la esfera de YouTube. Algunos lo conoceréis, otros quizá no, pero os va a encantar descubrirlo si es así. Ya os dije que iba a haber algunas sorpresas, una vez más, alejándome del hype. Así que espero que este vídeo os haya gustado muchísimo, dadle a like para apoyarlo si es así, y nos veremos en el próximo, con nuevas aventuras, quizá explorando Montana, quizá no, quizá en otro lugar. Creo que va a ser en Montana. Nos vemos allí. Yo me voy a quedar aquí un rato viendo algunos vídeos de Jenna. Por cierto, os dejo su canal en la descripción por si alguien quiere verlo o no lo ha visto nunca. Es súper divertido.